this is my pushback to that.
history,
I'm sorry if you would keep going. I'm sorry. You have more of that? I'm sorry.
just a little bit. I just see in recent history since I have been alive, right? I'm this is what I'm comparing it to, is that there have been a lot more violent crimes from the white community than our community.
Most issues that white folks are complaining about, they actually made. They complaining about the atmosphere. They complaining about high taxes. They complaining about immigrants. They complaining about drugs. They complain about most of the stuff that they brought to the world. So just because they complain about it doesn't mean that they're not contributors to its phenomenon. You're looking at the people on the ground that we know. But you do your homework on history. There was an organization called NAMBLA. That's old. That's called the National Association of Man Boy Love. Those are mostly white men.
Do you think that this our type of manhood is different from everybody else's? Like, do we have the same standard for all men, or is it just for black?
It's just black men. What like I see it very often that like black men like are very their standard for themselves is like in that box, and if you're out of that box, you're feminine, you're girly, you're gay. Like I see a lot of white men, like it doesn't bother them to make gay jokes. It doesn't bother them to like be more like even like physical with each other, like not even in like a sexual manner, but it'll be like, no, I'm not saying it like that, no, but I'm saying like
You just had me. I was just right.
like
You
physical
was
with
on
each
the
other in a
same.
manner of like
We was
they're
doing the
like,
electric slide together, man. You just,
yeah, like
I don't know what
they're not
happened.
like even on
Nah,
here when men say stuff to each other on here, Darwin be so quick to be like, pause.
he's not here. He's not here. He's not here. Hold on. We
They
gotta rewind
always
that. Hold on.
say
No,
everything
Bougie. I
y'all
was
say.
rocking
No,
with you,
hold on.
Bougie.
I
I
don't
was
think
rocking
anybody
with you,
be thinking
Bougie.
anybody's gay. Y'all don't have to
No,
defend
no.
somebody.
Listen. But this is the issue. We got to stop comparing white males as the template for anything when it comes to black men. Let's just not even bring them up, because a lot of issues that are in the black community is black men and women mimicking white men and white women. Black women trying to be Miss Materialistic and all that. That's an old white woman play. Black men thinking their bravado come from their guns, their muscles. That's white male shit. So let's not use them as they're the template for what all of the issues we're dealing with is really us trying to mimic them. And as far as that gay shit, we would never play like that because historically we was never into each other. So they do play like that because they do play like that. So that's just a bad example. But everything else I rock with.
But so just anybody, just don't do white then. Any other race.
What?
Yeah,
No, she's saying the
any
standard,
other
like
race in
what we
general
say
is what
is
she's saying.
strength and versus what's weak and what's strength. I don't think other cultures in general over focus on it as we do, but I can tie that, in my opinion, it is a historical grounding that comes behind that. When you look at the way Black men got here, the way they were stripped of their power, the way that they were stripped of their manhood, coming from slavery all the way up, I'll say even to now, depending on where you're at. So this the shaping of what a man is for Black men had to be like how they say when people like gay men, they overdo the feminine part. As women, I think for Black men coming from a history like that, they have to overdo like the expression of what manhood is, right? I can fight back, I can do this, I can do these things because of the history that has led to that situation.
It's amazing how you brought up history, because when I do it, people think I'm crazy, but you have to go back if you're trying to understand Black people in America. You cannot just start from the Tyler Perry series. You got to read some shit from the past. And I don't know why we keep, you cannot understand our people without understanding history. Because even what Bougie said, that whole distasteful for homosexuality, that's not some homophobe. That was just never in African indigenous culture. It was never venerated. It was never something that we not saying. I'll be a fool to say that Black people wasn't gay and throughout time. Like, that's a human mindset, what you can call it dysfunction, whatever, it's in people. So I can never say probably never happened, but it was never something that we wrapped our arms around and venerated and pushed to our society and our cultures. So that's old. Us not wanting to be like that is not some anti anything now. We were always like that. We always had statues of man, woman, and child. We was, if anything, we was into multiple women as opposed to dealing with men. So what I'm saying is that's to compare us as far as how our sensitivity towards uh same sex genders. I don't think that has nothing to do with, I don't think that's a good comparison to what white people do. Like they're a different people with a different mindset that is totally different from us, and we're different from them not just based on how we look, but we're different from them from the inside out.
Go ahead, Bo.
Actually, we get our homophobia from white people. That's where we get that from.
That don't make sense.
They had it, but okay. So think about it, right? They they are the main ones sending their children to like camps to either pray the gay away or whatever other, they speak horribly
Just
of
Sister
them.
Bo, Sister
But
Bo.
listen, but
No,
listen,
that's
listen,
not.
right? We we have I agree with you about our people. Um it was something that happened because we are human. But it wasn't something that was highlighted. It wasn't something that we are like, this is okay. And we just didn't pay it any attention because that wasn't the focus of our community, our struggle, or whatever the case may be. Even during the civil rights movement, no one cared because they had bigger things to deal with. And this is coming from a person that was alive and well and here and very young and involved in that time. I talked to people. These are things. They did not care anything about same sex anything because we had bigger fish to fry. And so our I this is my opinion. It does not have to be true. It's just my theory, right? I know that to be true about the civil rights movement. They didn't care whether you was gay, straight, or whatever. We just needed we needed bodies in the movement. They didn't care. But beyond that, like before that, it just wasn't something that we focused on. It wasn't something that we celebrated, but it just wasn't it just was a thing that existed.
This is
But
my pushback to that.
history,
I'm sorry if you would keep going. I'm sorry. You have more of that. I'm sorry.
just a little bit. I just see in recent history since I have been alive, right? This is what I'm comparing it to, is that there have been a lot more violent crimes from the white community than our community in the past. That's just my opinion. It don't have to be right, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. So this is my pushback to what you said. First of all, homosexuality historically is a European phenomenon. That's first and foremost. That comes from them. So I think we be so caught up in what white folks say on TV that we don't do our homework. Just because white people are on TV complaining about homosexuality doesn't mean that they're not contributors of that culture to the world. Most issues that white folks are complaining about, they actually made. They complaining about the atmosphere. They complaining about high taxes. They complaining about immigrants. They complaining about drugs. They complain about most of the stuff that they brought to the world. So just because they complain about it doesn't mean that they're not contributors to its phenomenon. You're looking at the people on the ground that we know. But you do your homework on history. There was an organization called NAMBLA. That's old. That's called the National Association of Man Boy Love. Those are mostly white men. That shit is old.
No,
So what I'm just because you see a few of them protesting it online doesn't mean that we get our resistance from it from them. We've never been with that. Us not talking about in the civil rights movement is because you know why? Because black people are loving people. We're not going to alienate you because you don't live a certain way. We're just not going to it's a difference between venerating something and just saying F you, get out of here. We all, my mother was with a woman. You know what I'm saying? I have gay people in my family. It's not a problem. It's a difference between parading and saying, hey, look at me, I'm this, or just saying, hey, I got my cut. It's like who you lay with is nobody's business. It's no business whether you lay with somebody that's straight. Who we laying with is irrelevant. So to push that to the world is the weird part. What you do is what you do. So us not making a big deal out of it, because we don't make a big deal out of much. Black people, most issue is when we see injustice. So that's what triggers us. But as far as our resistance to them and the trans and all that, that ain't got nothing to do with white folks. We never was with that. And just because they push against it, they make it. Most of the issues they complain about, they make. I didn't mess up the ozone layer. I just seen a document the other day about how most of the animals in most ecosystems are like dead. There is white folks making money about saving the whales and saving the animals, but it's also white folks shooting elephants. Like, so what they complain about is really irrelevant. Like, it's about knowing what we are, who we are prior to post-American interference. I think we keep trying to understand ourselves post being under colonization. You're not going to get a full understanding of who you really are. You're going to talk about who you've been altered to be. That's not really you. That's like trying to evaluate a child after they've been touched. No, who were they before that? Like, you got to know where people come from. We keep trying to deal with each other post-trauma. You already been affected by that, but who was you before that? How did your people live before that? That's how you get a full understanding of what we are really into, not what we've become.